Okay, guys, so for Inktober this year, rather than upload a video every day of me drawing, because that's not good for the channel, I noticed that when I upload videos in a series, especially just days apart, it creates fatigue on the channel and causes videos to not get viewed. And I noticed that most of you guys don't watch actual drawing videos anyway, so I'm not gonna put content out that doesn't get watched. Um, but I figured actually over the next 3 days recording a video going over and reviewing the past two Inktobers that I've done, and then tomorrow on the last day of Inktober look at my Inktober for this year and see how I've grown as an artist. And I combined Inktober 2018 and 2019 into one video because there was a problem uploading 2018 last night, so I rather than upload two videos today, I'm just gonna merge them into one. That way, there's really no fatigue, and that way there's just not too many videos of the same thing. Anyways, guys, yeah, I hope you enjoy. Hello, guys, I'm back with another video. Dinosaur here. It's been a while since I had an actual intro. Um, uh, as you guys know, it's probably know, anybody who's been following the channel for a while know that I do Inktober every year, and rather than upload a video, especially a drawing video, because I noticed that you guys don't particularly like watching me draw too much, and I understand that. So I figured rather than do a drawing video every day, I figured for the last 3 days of Inktober, compare my Inktober over the last few years and see how I've grown as an artist. And I've noticed that when I upload videos in a series that it creates fatigue for the channel and videos don't really get viewed as much. So we're going to see how this works out. It's 3 videos in a 3-day period. And obviously the last day of Inktober this year, you'll see the 2020 Inktober. I did the 2018 in its own little folder thing, and I'm already disgusted by my own art style because I drew myself like this. I had a problem drawing heads a little big, and I still kind of have that problem now to a lesser extent. Anyway, here was day one. The prompt for this day was poisonous, so I drew a snake, but snakes are only technically venomous. There's no real such thing as poisonous snake, so I also drew some poison ivy. Tried to get creative with that, and I don't know how well it worked out. For day 2 of 2018, the theme was tranquil, so I drew Jesus holding the Holy Spirit dove. I thought that was a sense of calm and tranquil, true to the theme. For day 3 was roasted, so I drew this chef character baking maybe a Thanksgiving turkey, and this is actually based on I guess she was technically my step grandmother. I don't exactly know how that exactly worked, but she always liked being a chef. She pretty much was a chef. She was really good at that. And it's a dog, and there's somebody based on my aunt who's in the army surprising her and telling the dog to be quiet. And there's little me playing with a toy train. And in here is something that was actually in her kitchen. Lord bless my little kitchen and all who enter in. That wasn't the full poem, but that was all I could work in. I'm probably, out of all of these, I'm probably the most proud. And for day 4, the theme was spell, so I drew a witch casting a spell, and now this princess is holding the frog. Or that used to be the prince, I guess. Day 5 was chicken, so I drew Colonel Sanders holding a chicken. I might have actually had KFC that day too. I really don't remember. I remember this one got a lot of praise from my family members for some reason. Drooling. I drew a wolf drooling, is about to attack, and yeah, that's it there. And for exhausted, I drew me pulling the plug on my alarm clock. And it also happens that this happened on the 7th day of Inktober, and it also so happened that this fell on a Sunday, and I actually, for some reason, had to wake up earlier that morning to do. I think I don't know. I had to do something. I don't remember what it was, but before I could go back to bed for another 3 hours and wake up again in time to go to church. So I actually, while I was awake, I took the time to draw this picture. So very ironically true to the theme. I was very exhausted when I drew this, and I don't know whether, if it shows or not. So with for the theme of star, I drew that Star of Bethlehem, the one that led to baby Jesus. Looking back, I wish I had made the sky a little less scratchy, but overall, I think overall okay with how it turned out. And here we have Precious. I'm not going to spend too much time on this because a lot of harsh memories there. And flowing, we got a flowing river and a couple enjoying it. And for cruel, we have the Roman soldiers whipping Christ. Looking back, I don't know if exactly if it was the best idea to draw, because after all, I mean, it was something that really happened, and Christ really did it for us, and by His stripes we really were healed. But I don't know if this was a little over the top of me to do, but and for once, because I was very new to cross hatching and very new to using only ink pens for drawing, and that's how Inktober works. You use only ink for the drawings, and I was fairly new to it, and whenever I tried to cross hatch, it came off kind of scratchy looking. But I think for this picture, it actually paid off. I think it really sold the idea that there was injuries going on there. But looking back, I won't say I'm ashamed of this drawing, because I'm not. It really happened, and I was just trying to express my faith, and I still stand by that. I just wonder if I maybe should have taken a better approach to doing that. For whale, I just drew, I think that's a humpback whale and a beluga, because I didn't know which one would do the other. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this because I stayed up late that night at a football game. It was actually midnight by the time I got back. So yeah, I didn't put a whole lot of effort into this, but looking back, I don't think it looks that bad. And here we have guarded. So just a bunch of soldiers guarding the door there, and these officers walking out. It's kind of sketchy looking, no pun intended. So on day 14, the theme was clock. So I drew not only the clock on my phone, but a grandfather clock, which is actually in the very room that we're in now. Oh, and hey, there's that clock I made in freshman year, but my main focus was this clock, which is actually in the very room with us right now. For day 15, the prompt was weak, so I drew Satan, because when our faith is strong, when we place our trust in Christ, He makes us stronger than the enemy. And he can't even lift 1 pound, and he's standing over a trapdoor. Because that's what Satan's doing. He's standing over a trapdoor. For angular, I drew a locomotive of Conrail, and mountains. Overall pleased with how it turned out. I don't know if Conrail actually had this specific model. Actually, I followed along with a tutorial to help me do this one, although the logo and the number I did myself, and there's a Norfolk Southern one here. I did probably even worse on this one, but and the tracks and the crossing gate overall, I think I did well. But for swollen, I did my hand sprained or something. At least it's not my drawing hand, and her laughing at me. There's a lot of self-inserts with this one, and I think the next one, but overall I tried to just make up random characters for this. And for bottle, I drew a baby getting fed a bottle, because for some reason I kept trying to go for calm themes for this year, along with the prompts, and most of them do tend to have a pretty calm look to them, I think. So for the 19th, I did Scorched, and basically the aftermath of a house burning down. Mostly just smoke now coming out. And looking back, I think this is another one where my scratchy art style actually came in handy. This is actually a picture of a broken phone of mine. It was for the prompt breakable. For some reason, phones are annoyingly breakable. I mean, this actually, I don't actually use this phone. I don't know if you can see the cracks on this or not, but yeah, what's this? And here's a drain. Got my siblings arguing over which of their sports are better, and then here's me just trying to draw. Just it's very draining. There might have actually been real life inspiration behind that day. I'm honestly not sure. And for expensive, I drew the art supplies I was using at the time. My Simply Art markers. I don't have those anymore, and I didn't use them for this challenge, but these microns and this right here, I definitely still had, and because I had colored microns and drawing my microns, I went all out as far as color is concerned for this one. Most of them I tend to just go for a plain black and white aesthetic. Here we have muddy, so rain creating mud, walking in it. For the 24th, the prompt was chop, so I drew a carrot getting chopped, and there's some onions there. I think this one's actually diced. I'm not quite sure what I was going for on that one. And here is prickly. These two sit next to a cactus. Here's a stretch, and for the theme stretch, I drew a tetranitha, and they're actually in Europe. They're called stretch spiders, and every time I bring people to this location where they're actually overpopulated, and I try to sell that by drawing one there, oh, and there, doing the horrifying thing it does, and then there's this person warning me that I got one on me, and this I've actually found one on me before, and I gotta say, my reaction is not usually that calm. And here's a perfect example of what I was talking about. Here is a bit of a habit of drawing heads a little too big. And here for the 27th, the theme was thunder, so I tried to draw a big old thunderstorm with, and because of my time at Tolles, I was starting to the teacher had beaten the concept of adding value, that is to say shading or darker color, darker shades of a certain color, whatever you're using, So I had tried to obnoxiously use shadow in every part of this because not every cloud in a thunderstorm is the same color, and it's some is darker than others. I think I actually tried to get that with this, and I think I just made a bit of a mess. But at the same time, I think it also sort of gets the point across. I mean, you get the idea that there's something rumbling. I did little modest clouds in here and some streaks of rain. It was also this year where I really began to realize that you can see streaks of rain in the distance, and you can tell when it's raining. It's really interesting. And here's for the 28th. The prompt was gift. For For he made him who knew no sin become sin for us, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. It is finished. Father, in your hands I commit my spirit. So I drew the crucifixion and the two thieves on the cross next to him. This was another expression of my faith that I tried to interpret into this drawing challenge. Looking back, I think it's another one where my scratchy art style paid off, because it made it look all that much more painful. I don't know why I tried to sell that idea so much, and I guess in a way that is kind of the best way to go about it is to not sugarcoat it. For by grace through faith you have been saved, and that not of yourselves, it is the gift of God, not of works, lest anyone should boast. And that's where the theme gift comes in for this drawing. And for the 29th, the theme was double, so I drew double Aptasias and two people holding hands. But these were actually my pet Aptasias, and at the time I was keeping them in a bottle, kind of like this. Those of you who actually watched my channel when I was trying to save the life of one of them, I ended up putting it in a water bottle, and it did actually end up splitting and breeding eventually. I don't know if I ever showed that in a video, but yeah, I think I might. I might. Nothing set in stone, but I might put the link to that video of my Aptasia in the description. Really miss that thing. It died around November last year, I believe. For Jolt, I drew someone getting hugged and Jolt of just jolty heart. I don't know. I don't know what was in my head when I drew that, in all honesty. And for the 31st, the last day, obviously it was Halloween, and the theme was Slice, which was perfect for a jack-o'-lantern. So I tried to add a jack-o'-lantern, try to make it a scary and human-like, but I don't know how well that worked. Anyways, guys, that was my 2018 Inktober, and tomorrow we will, you get to see my 2019 Inktober, and then on the final day of Inktober this year, you'll see what I've been doing all year this year for Inktober. Well, not all year this year, all month this month for this year's Inktober, and I still have to do today's drawing. Anyways, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. God be willing. God bless you all. Now it's second to last day of Inktober 2020, so now we're gonna take a look at Inktober 2019. The first prompt was ring, so I drew a phone ringing, and I hit a person wearing a ring in the background. But this is what I focused on, and just decided to start that Inktober off simple. And this year at Tolles, the art teacher gave us a lot more creative freedom, and it really shows in this Inktober. Not in school this year, but a lot of what the art teacher said these first 2 years really impacted a lot of how these Inktober challenges played out. Day 2 was mindless, and I drew the most mindless thing of all, atheism. Person's an atheist. The cure for mindlessness: get saved. And around this time, I started having less of a problem of drawing heads a little too big, except maybe over here. That one's a little more intentional. Although, as you can see here in this drawing right off the bat, it was still sort of a struggle for me. Day 3 was bait, and this is based on something that actually happened and that I actually said to a worm as I was fishing with Comedy Connie. I'll tie your body in a knot if you don't quit squirming. That worm, it did squirt a lot. It didn't squirm a lot. It did not want to go on that hook. And I told it I would tie its body in a knot, which ended up not happening. Day 4 was freeze, and I drew 2 of the characters that are going to be in a comic series that I'm working on. Basically, this kid never wears a shirt, and you could use a shirt, especially in freezing weather like that. So, day 5 was build, so I drew people working on this steam locomotive, and made up a little railroad, OCR. This is Ohio Central Railroad, but turns out it was actually a real thing. Or maybe I did base it off of that. I really don't know. It was a long time ago, and he's staring at her. Maybe he has a crush on her. We don't know. Didn't really put a whole lot of thought into that until lately. So day 6 was a husky, so I just opted to do the obvious thing and draw a husky. And this is where scratchy art style really came in handy again, because it really sold the idea this thing was fur, and it made for a realistic drawing. Yeah, didn't it, buddy? Day 7 was enchanted, so I drew an elf next to this tree. And yeah, it's about as simple as that got. I've done better elf drawings after this, but not my favorite. And day 8 was frail, and I decided to draw an eye. And it was just a few months ago that year, and I actually made a video on that way back when about how I had a bunch of pollen stuff in my eye, and it was irritating it, and I was really scared that I might have had that eye-eating amoeba that people get, and it was a reminder that, and also while that happened, I had a really bright car light past me as I was walking at night, and it caused the vision in my right eye to go blurry for a few minutes. It was actually really scary, and it was a reminder that eyes are very precious and frail. They let you experience so much of the world, but can be lost in an instant. So I thought it was fitting to draw an eye for frail. For swing, I drew me and someone on a swing. It doesn't get much more simple than that. And as you can see here, I had a bit more problems still with the heads being a little too big. I don't know, maybe I'm imagining this one. For pattern, again, my characters and these 2 from the freezing one in a pattern. Say cheese, clouds are in a pattern. Boy, girl, I don't know. And her hair is actually a pattern, and that's how it is in the real story. And apparently a pattern has to repeat at least once to be a pattern, but in art, anything goes. So, day 11 was snow. I drew me and someone building a snowman. And don't quite got the nose of the snowman yet. Maybe this is one without a nose, I don't know. And I tried to draw like snow over my boots. I don't know if it actually worked or if it... sometimes you can only do so much with drawing with only ink. And sometimes my art style comes off as really scratchy, and sometimes that makes for a good drawing, and others I'm not quite sure, but I was overall pleased with how this one turned out. And the prompt for day 12 was dragon, so I drew this ice dragon that I actually painted the year prior for a project at Tolls, and I do have a video of that on YouTube, and I gotta say, I kinda As far as detail, I do like this ink drawing a lot better than the painting, but I do like the colors of the painting a little better. And day 13 was Ash, so I drew Ash Ketchum from Pokemon, the classic Ash. And this was actually referenced from a clip that I actually, from the first episode of Pokemon, I actually watched. I think I still have the VHS somewhere. But yeah, this was a good, fun blast in the past into childhood for me. Day 14 was overgrown, so I drew weeds growing around this plant and choking it out. It's got a bud, but it doesn't seem like it's quite blooming. It seems like it's kind of choked by these weeds. Day 15 was Legend, so I drew Rumiko Takahashi and her characters. She's a manga artist I always looked up to as a comic artist myself, and I try to emulate her art style, and I actually really tried to emulate it here while drawing Chibi Her and Chibi Her characters, and just so many stories written by some of these people, by this one person. Got Inuyasha and Ranma, and One Pound Gospel, and Rennie. I think Rennie's here somewhere. I don't not quite familiar with all the mangas she's written, but man, it was she's a legend because of how many comics she came up with just on her own. Some of them kind of clicked, some of them didn't, but Inuyasha is definitely her most well known and her most popular. It's the one that I got started on. So day 16 was wild, so I drew a wild pig. And I think the only thing I would do differently here was make the fur look a bit more furry than what it did. There's a lot of white space here that probably could have been filled in. But I don't know, kind of like the little tusk. I think it's cute. I like pigs. They're cute. So day 17 was ornament. So I drew this angel ornament that my family actually used to have for our Christmas tree. It was where people normally have a star on there. It was a little angel. I don't know whatever happened to it, but it was the robe of the angel wasn't actually white. It was more reddish purple, but it was still quite an interesting thing. I don't think I've really seen any other ornaments quite like that. So I drew an angel for this, but I also made it a bit more classic cartoony angel. Day 18 was Misfit, so I drew the dentist elf and Rudolph from the movie singing their song, "We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits." I don't know how the song goes. And for day 19 sling, I drew my friend trying to use a slingshot and me just whispering in his ear, mess up, which is something I probably would do in real life. To be honest, I do like messing with him. And we do get competitive with certain stuff sometimes. I don't think we ever actually tried any game involving a slingshot in real life. In fact, no, we haven't. But it's the problem again with heads being just a little too big. This is a problem I tend to have quite frequently, and I'm working on it. It seems to be less of a problem for me this year, but that's a story for tomorrow. Day 20 was tread, so I drew my boots, and this was before I discovered that little cross thing at the soles of the boots, so that didn't make it on here. But overall, I was kind of pleased with this drawing. I never really tried drawing any type of shoe with any real effort before, and I think it turned out pretty realistic looking. Especially, this is where the cross hatching and the heavy ink really paid off, because there really looks like the real thing. I don't have the best lighting here. I don't know if you can see this. this boot here, but yeah, that's what it is. Day 21 was treasure, so I drew these two Bibles that I had mainly at the time was the King James and the New King James that had a camouflage pattern, and the Word of God truly is treasure, so I thought it fitting to draw the Bibles for this prompt, and tried to give it a good background, but I wanted the Bibles to be the focal point of this, so I put the most detail into this, and I think that I was very pleased with how this turned out. And for day 22, the prompt was ghost, and I put under here, except it's alive, because the Holy Spirit is alive. So I drew the Holy Spirit dove, and I used blue and green ink for this one to make it a bit more, a little less generic, and make it look like something special, because it truly is something special. It's very rare that a prompt aligns with my faith so well and allows me to express it. For other prompts, I can express my faith too, but I really got to dig in there to find out how to make it work. So for ancient, I drew Kai from the 47 Ronin. I basically took the reference from the title, but I also tried to draw it a bit more like the way actual ancient Japanese people would have drawn it. So I think it looked pretty well, and the head's not really a problem for this one because, like I said, I tried to emulate the actual art style that they would have used at the time to draw this, and I was overall pleased with how it turned out. The sword's a little bit more rugged looking than I like, but overall I think I did decent. For Dizzy, I drew one of my OCs from the comic that I'm working on. For Dizzy, I drew him well, basically essentially drunk. And yeah, that's about the way it is. It's pretty self-explanatory from here. And for Tasty, I drew one of those twist-on jars filled with tea, and I don't know how well I did, but I tried to draw the Lipton logo on there to really sell the idea that was tea. This was the first time I really tried something like that, so I tried to emphasize what I could, but overall I'm pleased with the look of how this turned out, but don't know exactly how realistic this looks. But you win some, you lose some. For day 26, the prompt was dark. So I drew a wolf howling at the moon and these dark trees, and tried to make the background kind of dark. I didn't want the sky to be too dark because it would clash with the trees. But I really think this was a pretty good drawing. I would use it as a cover for a book if I was the type to write novels, which I might someday, I don't know, but I would definitely go for a look kind of like this if I was doing that. So I was overall pleased with how this was done. And for coat, I drew me giving this girl a coat. That was pretty much it. And for ride, I drew myself in a train, kind of mocking this guy in a car. Nice ride. Don't patronize me. Norfolk Southern 1011 is a real locomotive. I don't know if it's actually this model, but this model looks kind of like an Ace. I think the real 1011 is an Ace. I don't know. For injured, this person's also based on someone in real life. It was a joke between the two of us. I wasn't allowed to punch the computer at tolls to break my hand because I got really mad at the computer all the time, and I didn't. I was always saying how I was probably going to have a broken hand the next day from punching the computer, and I was always told by this person I was not allowed. Of course, I wasn't actually going to do it. And for day 30, the prompt was catch, so I drew the disciples catching that load of fish under the instruction of Christ on the right side of the boat. So I tried to align that with the right side of the page to make it more convincing if that's what's going on. And I think that one looks pretty good. One of the more better ones of this type. This is one of my first times like drawing water, any real body of water too, and I think that turned out pretty well. And day 31, the last day, the prompt was ripe, so I drew a jack-o'-lantern again like I did the other year. Except I drew it a little differently, and I think pumpkins can technically be considered ripe. But anyway, that's basically my Inktober 2019. Hope you guys enjoyed, and tomorrow we will look at the final day of Inktober 2020. We will look at Inktober 2020 and see how much I've grown as an artist this year versus the first 2 years. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. God bless.